Last February, the two biggest telecom operators in the US, AT&T and Verizon, spent a whopping $76 billion to buy mid-range spectrum so they can start offering 5G services. After spending billions more to set up the infrastructure for internet speeds 10 times faster than 4G, the operators were gearing up to launch the service in December. But this date was first pushed back to January 5th and later again to January 19th. This delay was due to concerns that the new set of radio frequencies they purchased, called the C-band, could interfere with a critical instrument that helps pilots land a plane. A day before the new technology was set to go live, airlines in the US warned of a catastrophic aviation crisis that could render a number of wide-body aircraft unusable and strand thousands of Americans overseas. The panic came to a head when international airlines like Air India, Emirates and Japan Airlines cancelled flights to some American cities that were scheduled to arrive on January 19th, citing uncertainties because of the 5G rollout. Let us understand what the airline industry is worried about. The US aviation regulator warned of a potential interference with aircraft's radar altimeters, which measure how far above the ground a plane is traveling by bouncing radio waves off the ground. They are crucial for landing in low visibility situations caused by rain or fog. Altimeter helps in automated landings and also activates reverse thrust to slow the plane upon touchdown. The US aviation regulator feared that the instrument may give wrong readings if its radio waves don't bounce back from the ground because of 5G interference. Altimeters operate in the 4.2 to 4.4 GHz range, while 5G services in the US were rolled out on the 3.7 to 3.9 GHz range. The concern is that 5G frequencies come too close to spectrum band used by altimeters. Meanwhile, in India, the government plans to auction 5G airwaves in the 3.2 to 3.6 GHz band, a lower frequency than the US, providing for greater elbow room when it comes to dealing with aviation safety. Sareen & Co.'s Vinamra Longani tells us what India can learn from the US example as it plans to auction 5G spectrum this year.
Now, in my opinion, when you talk of it in the Indian context, what the telecom regulator at this point in time must do is to have detailed discussions with aviation industry stakeholders. That includes people like the airlines, more importantly, aircraft manufacturers, and also the civil aviation regulator, the DGCA, so that they can put together a plan pertaining to the rollout of 5G services close to aviation installations, particularly airports. Now, these discussions could include things like, the band of spectrum that is being auctioned and how and if that may impact aircraft, specifications of hardware that are going to be used around airports and at airports, and also things like, do we go down the way of Canada? Like, do we set up a buffer zone around our airports? The US civil aviation regulator, they knew about the 5G rollout. They could have prepared well in advance to certify aircraft. And essentially what happened was wide-body aircraft like Boeing 777 weren't certified in time by the FAA. A host of countries where 5G has been activated without any issues. I mean, look at Dubai, for example. The whole airport is 5G activated, and it is home to the world's largest long-haul airline, Emirates. So, we've got to learn from people from countries like Dubai and the UAE, and also from mistakes made in the US.
Telcos in the US say the fears are overblown. For now, Verizon and AT&T have voluntarily agreed to suspend 5G deployment at key US airports, essentially creating buffer zones. The two companies blasted the US Federal Aviation Administration for its lack of preparedness as they kicked off their new service. C-band 5G has been deployed in about 40 other countries where the technology safely coexists with airline travel. European countries, South Korea, Australia and the UAE have not reported any aviation interference issues after 5G deployment. For instance, France mitigated risks by reducing 5G power levels around airports. The US has now cleared 5 altimeters for use in certain plane models. This allows 62% of the US aviation fleet to perform low visibility landings at airports where wireless companies deployed 5G C-band. With that, Air India has also resumed its flights to the US. Back home in India, a financial daily reported yesterday that Telecom Regulatory Authority of India may soon issue a statement saying that 5G rollout is unlikely to cause any disruption to flight operations in India. With better cooperation between the industry and regulators, India can avoid a situation where airlines and telcos are at loggerheads with each other ahead of 5G rollout, like what happened in the US.
If you like this video, share it and subscribe to Business Standard. For more news, views and insights, log on to www.business-standard.com. Do also follow us on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram and LinkedIn.